Chris Jericho barely survived his second labor with a win over Nick Gage, who just had the biggest week of his life. He goes and he debuts on national television wrestling Chris Jericho in the main event in front of 7,000 people. Jericho took more punishment than I expected him to. The guy hit a fucking Frankensteiner off the top rope, put Gage through a pane of glass. I don't much care for this type of shit, but I couldn't take my eyes off it either, which I guess is what AEW was banking on. And it worked, since that main event did the highest numbers of the entire show. So Jericho won, and now in his third labor this Wednesday, he will have to wrestle his old rival from WCW, Juventud Guerrero. Might have been a little more dramatic if we didn't already see him hit Frankensteiners in each of his last two matches. It appears what they're doing here is that we're getting Jericho from different eras in each of these matches. The first labor against Shawn Spears was, just AEW Chris Jericho, leader of the Inner Circle, Le Champion, whatever you want to call him. Labor number 2 was New Japan Chris Jericho, dressed up as the Painmaker. Labor number 3 is going to be, he doesn't quite meet the weight requirements anymore of the Cruiserweight division. JF it all out. So it'll probably be, and this is me guessing here, it'll probably be someone from his Y2J or early WWE run contract to AEW. He is going to wrestle. He just hasn't had a match yet. Jericho had a damn good run. I will die on that hill. I thought they had a damn good run. It wasn't planned that way. It was Jericho and Edge, if you remember, as the tag team champions on the show, were a good team. I call him Amish Big Show because he looked Amish to me during that run. The Juice. The Juice is 46 years old now. I have not seen him wrestle since his run with the Mexicools in WWE, because the story does not end there. Nick Gage wrestled one match, one of their sponsors, to all of the violence and the blood and everything from the main event on Wednesday. At the very moment that Nick Gage took a pizza cutter to Chris Jericho's forehead, they cut to a picture-in-picture break with an advertisement for Domino's. Now, supposedly it was not intentional, but I don't know that I buy that. The timing was just too perfect. Too perfect. But where the controversy comes into play is the website Front Office Sports, which I had never even heard of before this week. They ran a story with the headline, Domino's disavows AEW's bloody pizza cutter spectacle on TNT. What a fucking headline. Here's the story. Domino's Pizza is disavowing any involvement or knowledge of All Elite seemingly wielded a pizza cutter to slice his opponent's head open. The fast food giant might also pull its advertising schedule from AEW, which airs Wednesday nights on Warner Media's TNT network. Domino's was not involved, nor had any foreknowledge of the gory scene on the AEW Dynamite main event Wednesday night that showed wrestler Nick Gage apparently slicing Chris Jericho's head open with a pizza cutter, according to spokeswoman Jenny Fouracre Petco. She was the representative of Domino's that spoke to them on Thursday night. TNT followed the Domino's workers are seen slicing up a fresh pie for delivery. We share the concerns expressed about this incident and the content of this TV-14 rated program and are assessing our advertising presence on it going forward. I saw Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer on its Twitter has offered to take the Domino's ad spots if they do pull out. Meltzer was kind of vague about this in The Observer, and I really think he needs to clarify this because he seemed to imply, which is a pretty serious thing to imply, that WWE was reaching out to AEW sponsors behind the scenes, including Domino's, as a way to cause trouble. Back over 30 years, ever since he went national. One of my favorites is him trying to sabotage the Superclash main event between Jerry Lawler and Kerry Von Erich by filing an injunction with the State Athletic Commission right before the show, alerting them that Kerry was missing a foot. And because of some obscure law they had on the books that no wrestler or fighter, boxer, whatever, could try to get them shut down. He tried to stop the match from happening, which didn't work. So, in this case, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, maybe it was someone else in WWE who tried to stir things up. Voices of Wrestling, they outright said that WWE has been calling journalists in hopes that the deathmatch stuff would pick up steam, and it really hasn't. No advertiser, not even Domino's yet, has ad right now. On Friday night, reporter David Bixenspan, he dropped a story on his Babyface versus Heel website, which is by no means confirmation of anything, and he says as much, but he posted a story claiming that a reporter from a mainstream publication spoke to him and stated to him that WWE had contacted them about writing an article on the Domino's AEW situation. And the reporter provided Bixenspan with a screenshot of that exchange as proof. And he agreed not to share it publicly. Yeah, because look, in journalism, you sometimes have to agree to conditions like that to get the information to reporters on background, which is different than off the record. So they could publish the information, but they couldn't publicly disclose that it was me who we have to do it. But, you know, these kinds of practices, they happen all the time. That doesn't make it fake news. But he also points out how peculiar it was. And I thought the exact same thing. That Domino's has not said a magazine to a newspaper, on social media, nothing. Just this one website. They quoted this woman in their story. She is the director of public relations for Domino's. She's not some made-up person. But if you are in PR, as she is, you've got a statement ready in these situations. You've got a statement ready that you are either A, blasting out on blind copy to your list of websites and trade journals, or B, you've got a statement that you've drafted, saved and ready to go in the event that you are contacted by a journalist looking for a quote that they can use. I mean, that's just standard practice. And Domino's has been radio silent outside of this one article. What I think may have happened is this reporter reached out to Domino's, which gave them a very boilerplate, very generic statement. Domino's then saw all of the blowback they got on social media from people, and they decided to keep quiet and just wait for this whole thing to blow over. Nowhere in their statement did they say they were pulling the ads. So I am willing to bet that come this Wednesday, you're probably going to see Domino's advertising on Dynamite.